The story coming into the final day here at Lake Guntersville, the Berkley Bassmaster Elite, was this man right here, our day 1, 2, and 3 leader, Caleb Kufall. A giant lead, 11.5 pounds. Really, Such, it was going to be his tournament to lose. Was he going to falter? Was he going to slip up and allow someone to be able to catch a giant Lake Guntersville bag to be able to beat him? And we got to watch that play out, as that was the storyline on this historic fishery. 26 times we've been to Guntersville, over 8 times for the Bassmaster Elite Series, but what a dominant performance. One that we probably haven't seen really too much. As we bring it into the Bassmaster Studio, sponsored by Marathon Such, I don't know if we've seen a dominant day 1 to 4 lately like this one.
Not the way he did it, starting, setting the pace with 27 pounds, 10 ounces, taking a big lead, and then just following up and keeping it going and keeping his foot on the throttle.
Well, the opportunity to make a big jump was there this week. The changing conditions at Guntersville made it a little tough for some anglers, and the opportunity to catch a big bag for others. And Chris Zaldain, after a tough day 1 in the 80s, he had a huge comeback on day 2. And then on day 3 as well, and made it from the 80s into Championship Sunday.
1-pound bag, a 19-pound bag. Our only anglers really fishing deeper area, led the ledges at Guntersville.
Fishing those prototypical summertime offshore spots and using a big swim bait, a big spoon, a Nico rig this morning as well.
Making it work. Other guys tried, and they just didn't have the success that Chris Zaldain did.
And this was a huge event for Chris Zaldain when it comes to the Bassmaster Angler of the Year race and the Classic cut line. He was mired in kind of a tough season, not even kind of, underperforming by his standards.
66 to 51st, I believe he's going to finish, right? It's a good jump. He's got his way he can make it in 2 events. He needs to get another 40 points out of them game on the field to get inside next year's Classic.
One guy who made the top 10 last fall here at Lake Guntersville, Brandon Cobb, kind of picking up where he left off, doing some of the similar stuff, throwing top water, also throwing a wacky worm around. And Cobb, really on this final day, was pretty dominant at the number of fish he was catching, but we got to see the difference in numbers of catch and quality of catch when it comes to comparing him and the rest of the field to Caleb Kufall.
He was one whose bags grew throughout the week, Ronnie. 14 to 16 to almost 20 pounds on day 3.
Reverting back to a normal sized bag, I would say average, 14 to 15 pounds, and he was right around that mark today, staying, holding serve.
It's a good finish. 6. He'll take it, Ronnie.
100%, and he is, with this top 10 finish, has jumped into 10th in the Angler of the Year race as well. And man, we just can't get enough of some of these frogfish catches. Late in the day, when everyone else was struggling, Cobb kept pouring it on. The guy that this really sets up for, when you see guys flipping grass, throwing top water, punching through the heavy cover, it kind of just screams Greg Hackney.
Mr. Consistency this week with all his bags, right around 16, 17 pounds. Never really had the monster bite, though.
Yeah, Guntersville, to really separate yourself from the 3s to 3.5s to 4-pounders, will you catch a 6+ pounder? We saw that it wasn't the easiest thing to do this week. Big bass of almost 7.5 pounds.
7.6 from Caleb Summerall, but he only had 4 fish and missed the cut.
So for some of these guys that caught the big bass of the day, like you said, Summerall, Bill Weidler, both missed the cut this week, and so consistency was more important than the big bite. But Greg Hackney, to be able to jump up into the top 2 or 3, needed that big bite today. And this is some of the action we did not get to see on Bassmaster Live, as Greg Hackney made a late flurry late in the day on Championship Sunday.
And if you see his name and this guy's name on the top 10 leaderboard going into Championship Sunday, Ronnie, maybe if you didn't have an 11.5-pound lead, you'd be a little more concerned.
Yeah, the only way that I want those 2 snipers behind me on Championship Sunday is when I have a 12-pound plus margin on those 2 guys, because it makes me feel a little more confident that they're not doing something sneaky out there catching a big bag. We got to see Jason Christie jump into 2nd this week in our Angler of the Year race, and he is coming off some great momentum. 3 of the last 4 Elite Series events making Championship Sunday. One of those events winning it at the Sabine River.
Sabine River victory.
Back-to-back top 10s from Neely Henry and Guntersville to end our Alabama swing.
We knew he and Hackney would both be a handful coming back to the Elites this season, and they are.
If you had to say, how is Jason Christie going to catch most of his weight this week when there's grass prevalent on Lake Guntersville? Well, you probably say top water and punching. It was a little top water every morning, but a lot of his fish came on a spinning rod and a wacky rig in the holes of that grass.
Yeah, I saw history, Ronnie, on the live mix. He said it was the first time I've ever thrown a Ned rig.
Lasted about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was done with it. 23 seconds.
We talked about Zaldane being the lone guy in the top 10 doing an offshore pattern. Well, Luke Palmer's the lone guy in the top 10 throwing a suspending jerkbait, something that's really played a lot over the last couple of events and over the last couple seasons in the Bassmaster Elite Series. And Luke Palmer, the only one doing it. Day 3, his one terrible day, and that was because he had the bites, but lost the bites with his way of fishing.
Yeah, great bag on day 2, Ronnie, 19.5 pounds. Actually, on the final day, improved his paycheck a big, jumping up from 8th place.
Yeah, coming from 8th place, what is that, $16,000, $17,000?
$17,000. And
jumping in the top 3 could possibly get him in the 25, 30, 35 range.
You know it.
Luke Palmer, he's one of the other anglers that has gotten back-to-back top 10s on the Elite Series when it comes to Lake Guntersville last fall. Really had a great event frogging and flipping just like he did this week. He flipped some, but he also mixed in that jerkbait like we mentioned.
Gosh, how about our most recent Elite Series winner, Neely Henry champ, Wes Logan? Another good tournament, Ronnie. Started 14 pounds and then 2 20-pound bags.
You really want to win every event that you can when you're in the final day field, but leaving the dock second, 11.5 pounds behind. If you can maintain and finish second, I'd say it's a pretty good 2-week stretch for Wes Logan.
A good month of May, you're looking at $135,000 payout from B.A.S.S.
What is it, April showers? Makes the money rain in May or something. Isn't that the phrase?
I know.
It's not the phrase. But for Wes Logan, it has been a great event. He said he doesn't know much about Guntersville, so when he does come here, he goes exactly where he knows grass and flipping, you know, his style of fishing, and that is around that Goose Pond region towards the B.B. Comer Bridge, and he has outlasted everyone except for the man that we're about to talk about, our day 1, 2, and 3 leader, and about to be day 4 leader and winner, Caleb Kufal, in dominant fashion.
In 8 hours of fishing, 60 minutes, that's 1,920 minutes, he may not have led 35 minutes. Of Brian New took the lead shortly on day 2, and on day 3, Wes Logan and Chris Johnson held leads briefly, but it's been all Caleb Kufal.
Setting the tone on day 1, 27 pounds, 10 ounces. On day 2, though, he only had 15.10, and we were wondering, what was he going to do? Is he going to win this event? His secondary area, which we're looking at right here, did not pay off on day 2. Well, guess what? Day 3, he came in here, caught most of his big fish here, and set the tone. Another 20. He had 23 pounds, the 2 biggest bags of the event.
Yes. He had the 15-minute flurry where he gained about 14 pounds. His lead had fallen to about 2 pounds, and they jumped it up to 12 pounds.
Yes. Caleb Kufal, dominant day 1, dominant day 3, and his day 2s and day 4s, not too shabby
Ronnie,
either, Such.
I want to nominate him for the Guntersville Kufal of Fame for this event.
Okay. I can get behind that. Definitely a great event for him, and it's going to be a great event. Our next Elite Series event, which will be Lake Champlain in July 8th through the 11th. We'll also have the Classic wedged in between now and then. We're excited to bring you all the coverage here on Bassmaster.com and Fox Sports 1. We'll see you at the next one.